Sonic, America's Drive-In. This is the famous logo we have all known for years, one of the longest running restaurant chains in the US. Founded by Troy N. Smith in 1945, with its 3,462 locations and headquarters located in Oklahoma City, the Sonic franchise manages to bring in a whopping $805 million in revenue and $60 million in net income a year. Troy N. Smith Sr. opened a restaurant that would become the first Sonic drive-in at Stillwater, Oklahoma in 1953. Smith's original plan was to tear down the existing small, walk-up root beer stand called the Top Hat and open a steakhouse in the log cabin that was on the site. After realizing that the stand was averaging $700 a week in the sale of root beer, hamburgers, and hot dogs, Smith decided to keep the stand open and never continue the planned steakhouse. Originally, at the Top Hat, customers would park anywhere in the gravel lot and walk up to place their orders. However, on a trip to Louisiana, Smith saw a drive-in that utilized speakers for ordering. He realized that he could increase his sales if he could control the parking and have the customers order from speakers at their cars. Car hops would then deliver the food to the customers. Smith borrowed several cars from a friend who owned a used car lot and established a layout for controlling parking. He also had some so-called jukebox boys come and ride an intercom system in the parking lot. Sales tripled immediately, and his little root beer stand was a huge success. Entrepreneur Charles Woodrow Pape stopped by chance at the Shawnee Drive-In and was very impressed. He got out of his car and began to take measurements of the stalls, trying to figure out why they were not all the same size. Assuming that it was an essential ingredient in the business plan, Smith came out and introduced himself and explained that the stalls were different sizes simply because different sized cars had been used when he laid everything out. The two men hit it off and negotiated the first franchise location in Woodward, Oklahoma in 1956. By 1958, two more drive-ins were built in Ingrid and Shawnee, Oklahoma. Upon learning that the Top Hat name was already trademarked, Troy Smith and Charles Pepe changed the name to Sonic. The new name worked with their existing slogan, "Service with the speed of sound." After the name change, the first Sonic sign was installed at the former Top Hat Drive-In in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This location has been considered to be the first Sonic drive-in, and the original sign can still be seen in Stillwater. While Smith and Pepe were being asked to help open new franchise locations, however, there was no royalty plan in place. The pair decided to have their paper company charge an extra penny for each Sonic label hamburger bag they sold. The proceedings were to split half for Smith and half for Pape. The first franchise contracts under this plan were drawn up by Smith's landlord, O.K. Winteringer, who was also a lawyer. At the time, there was no joint marketing plan and standardized menu and a few operating requirements. An old Sonic drive-in menu at the Oklahoma History Center. Sonic's founders formed Sonic Supply as a supply and distribution division in the 1960s. Under Troy Smith, Marvin Juris, and Matt Kinslow, longtime franchise holders, were brought in to run the Sonic Supply division. In 1973, Sonic Supply was restructured as a franchise company that was briefly named Sonic Systems of America, which sold franchise equipment, building plans, and provided some basic operation instruction. As Sonic grew into a regionally known operation in the 1960s and 70s, they were located mainly in small towns in Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, New Mexico, Missouri, and Arkansas. In 1967, the year of Charles Pape's death, there were 41 Sonic locations. The number continued to grow, and by 1972, there were 165 locations. Between 1973 and 1978, Sonic opened more than 800 locations in 13 states. In 1977, the Sonic School for Management Training was established under Jim Winteringer's guidance. Most of the drive-ins were operated by franchisees, who often made the store manager a business partner, which is still often the case today. During the 1960s and 70s, Sonic had no strict standardized procedures or recipes in place for their franchisees. Franchisees or franchise groups often developed their own recipes for different menu items or regional specialties. These variations hampered Sonic's growth during this period, which sometimes led to disagreements between the franchise groups over menus, pricing, coupons, and advertising. As a franchisor, Sonic did not inspect or monitor its franchisees' operations. Customers never knew what to expect in terms of menu, quality, and service. Sonic's future growth was in doubt, and by the 1980s, the company was losing money. In 1983, Smith and the board of directors saw the need for change. C. Stephen Lynn was brought in as president, and in 1984 he hired attorney J. Clifford Hudson to head the legal department. Under Lynn, Sonic and its major franchisees began to encourage the development of local advertising co-ops, and then marketing director Keith Sutherfield developed the field marketing representatives to work with their franchisees. Joint advertising brought significant sales growth, and this growth helped franchisees see the benefits of cooperation. Sonic Industries developed a new franchise agreement that required higher royalties and marketing expenditures. There was reluctance to accept these changes by some franchisees. However, the leadership and support of major franchisees like Mason, Harrison and Jared, Pete Esk, Bobby Merritt, Ted Mergen, Jim Winteringer, Marvin Juris, and Winters Group had a major impact. In 1985, the Sonic Management School was re-established and taught for the next 10 years by Doyle Payton, Donna Grigsby, and Carl Rose. The school stressed the importance of standardized procedures, sanitation, and employee training. Drive-ins were inspected and mystery shopped. New franchises began to expand the company to new areas and redevelop markets that had been unuseful in the past. A speed service system was developed under Wallace Height, which reduced the standard order time from 7 minutes to under 3 minutes. These developments, combined with the advertising campaign featuring Frankie Avalon, led to significant growth in a new image. Like many other great fast food restaurants, Sonic had its beginnings in a small town by a man who had a great idea. Sonic has gone through many changes since its beginnings, but one thing remains the same: their motivation to provide good food and fast, reliable service, and all delivered to your car.